Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the Designer.
Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears Podcast coming your way. Pat the Designer, John Yurkovich, back in the building. Always good to see you, good kid. It's
a pleasure to be here.
It's a running kind of day.
The best thing about this show, it's the last show before the draft.
Yes.
So the next week when we're doing this thing, we're actually talking about draft choices.
Yes.
Or we're talking about draft picks. We're talking about who they actually took, what they did at number 9. So that I can't wait to finally talk about because I'm tired of talking about what they might do.
The mocks.
Let's talk about what they did do. So.
Well, and that's why I did not want to come here and talk draft specific today. There's a draft portion that we'll touch on, but I want to talk about what's already on the roster, good kid, because we've got some young players already on this team that were selected last year. By the way, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Stop playing with us. Push the like button. Great insight coming your way. Which young player on this current Bears roster do you need to see step up next season? It's a must, or this team is going to have some issues.
Well, I'd prefer that my 2 defensive tackles step up. Gervin Dexter and
Zach Pickens.
Them are the 2 guys that I'd prefer step up. If they step up, it makes life easier for Montez Sweat and the rest of the defense. And then getting the guy opposite of Montez could just be a guy that's currently on the roster. So if the 2 defensive tackles make improvements and take that next step, I think life gets a whole lot better. Now, if you remember when Brisker and Gordon got here,
yes,
they were raw. They need to make improvements, and they did make improvements. That usually happens. So if you don't see an improvement this year out of your defensive tackles, then you start scratching your head and saying, well, do we have the right guys?
Yeah.
Because you should see improvement. So I would say the improvement out of those 2 guys, secondary improvement, the secondaries with secondaries, they're fine.
Yeah.
That could be
got Kevin Byard back there, some veteran leadership, Jalen Johnson, yes.
29 Stevenson.
Yes.
You can say they're theoretically the strength of your team unless they've got to cover for an extended period of time.
Right.
Which is why the defensive line improvement is so important. After that, I would go to wide receiver. And
Tyler Scott got to wake up.
I'm looking at. Yeah. Velus isn't going to wake up. Velus is who Velus is. Just a mistake.
Do the rule changes make you a little more optimistic possibly about Velus as far as maybe being useful on the team from a kick returning perspective, which it seems that's all that we have for him at this point. Now the ball, right? Nobody can move until the ball basically touches his hands.
As long as he can hold on to it.
Right.
Would be the question. His problem has always been a grotesque inability to hold on to the ball. So can he hold on to it?
Inability.
He
what
will.
a description.
Yeah, he will get the football more because of the new rules, but does that mean anything?
Right.
You know,
doesn't mean anything if you let it hit your body and fall.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I think if Scott can find a way to improve, I think that can help. I mean, he's going to be your 4th wide receiver, maybe your 3rd wide receiver. If he can improve, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would just help everybody else being a legitimate 3rd option or a 4th option or a 5th option, depending, if your running back Swift is getting a lot of balls, if Cole Kmet's getting a lot of balls. But it depends on what routes are being run, what they're being asked of. Sometimes he could be the primary route that certain coverages would dictate, okay, I can't go to 1, I can't go to 2, I'm going to have to go to 3 on this pass play. So if he's the 3rd option, then that improvement, we hope to see the improvement so it helps the offense.
Have you seen a guy who had a rookie year like Tyler Scott, which, let's be real, was bad? It was a bad rookie year for Tyler Scott. I thought he had good get off the line. I thought he had good moves to get himself open, but he can't catch. That's a problem as a wide receiver. Have you seen in your time in the league or just watching a game a guy who started off and was like, this guy can't catch, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, that's a name
Antonio
right there.
Freeman. Antonio Freeman was a guy that couldn't hold on to the football and couldn't catch the football, to the point where Mike Holmgren had to stop practice, brought everybody together, and said, this game's simple. He goes, you've got to be able to catch the ball and you got to be able to hold on to the ball. If you can't catch or hold on to the ball, you've got to go do something else. So Freeman struggled in his first camp. He struggled mightily. But by the end of the year, he was the guy that they could rely upon because he started figuring out, okay, I've got to hold on to the football and I got to catch the football. What am I afraid of? Nothing. So just catch the ball. You're going to get hit anyway.
Right.
So
no matter what, if it's coming your direction, someone's
you might as well
hit you.
catch the ball if you're going to be hit. So Freeman was a guy that started out real rough and then turned out to be a little bit of a gem afterwards. So could Kenner be improvement made? Yeah, like at any other position. They're usually better in their second year. They're usually better in their third year, which is why I'm telling you, when you look at Velus Jones Jr., was he better in his second year? I don't think so.
I can't say yes. I mean,
because
there were more uses for him, I guess. A little bit more on the end around. They used him at running back a little bit. Like they kind of,
when the greatest strength
played
of
him
your
that
wide
versatile.
receiver is to run the ball, you got a problem again. See, it's another problem.
Yeah.
Receivers catch balls
yes,
downfield.
yes,
Then they run with the ball after the catch.
yes.
When you have to artificially find a way to get him the football and say, well, they used him on the end around, you're really not using him the way he should be used.
Right.
You know, it's like using.
Could he be now again, you got to hold on to the ball. His problem is fumbles. But remember Cordero Patterson, when he was here, he was a receiver. We used him at receiver, a little bit at running back. He went to Atlanta.
No,
all of a sudden he was their lead back.
He was a kickoff return guy.
Kickoff return guy as well, yeah.
And we used
he was on the defensive side on kick returns as well.
And we used him on the as a running back here.
Yes.
We started to pop him a little bit of running back here, which I think gave Atlanta the idea, okay, we don't have one. Let's use Cordero Patterson as running back. And then they went and drafted running backs in the first round. So that goes to show you how much, what they thought of Cordero as a running back.
Little Bijan action, little Bijan.
Yeah.
When you
they
talk,
got another guy there too, Tyler something, Alligator.
Oh, Tyler Alligator. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they got Bijan Robinson. It's like, what are they doing?
Tyler is not Alligator. You got me saying Algier.
Yeah, I don't know.
you got me saying Alligator.
It begins with an A. I know that. It's
Yes,
got a
it
G and an
does.
R in it.
Algier.
So I'm close.
So you've got defensive tackles first. You've got your
Receiver second.
Your receivers are second.
Yeah.
For young guys that need to step up. Okay. When you look at the defensive tackle position right now, right, especially with Gervon Dexter, what does he need to prioritize as importance? Of course, getting to the quarterback would be the greatest thing in the world, but what is his thing that he needs to finish the season that you need to see and you go?
So situational awareness.
Mm.
He's got to know when to turn it on for the pass game. When the numbers dictate in his brain that, okay, this is 80-20 pass to run. So I'm going to play the pass here and react to the run. I'm going to rush the passer and react to the run.
Okay.
This is a rundown, and so I'm going to hunker down. I'm going to be solid. And then if it shows pass, then I'm going to go ahead off of contact, off of being locked up. I'm going to run some of my pass stuff out of this. So just some situational awareness that comes with experience and comes with time and comes with, hey, personnel, down and distance, motion. It's probably going to lead me to a certain area where I got an idea of what they likely want to do. Like it's 95% going to be this.
Yeah. Third and long situation.
He's got to be able to recognize that. Right. And then there's third and long situations out of a certain formation and certain personnel that dictate, hey, every time they do this, say they're in a split backfield and they switch to fullback. Well, they've done this 4 times and 4 times they've run a draw. So that leads me now to, okay, they've done this again. Hey, I need to engage, I need to get in, and then I need to clear the draw before I rush to the pass.
Right.
So it's just that kind of knowledge that's gained over the course of time and getting comfortable with the coordinators, with the type of defense that Eberflus is playing, hopefully with the communication you're getting throughout the defensive staff, going into the players so everybody's talking the same language, and people can have a chance of really kind of knowing what's going to happen and what's not going to happen. That's what you're looking for. And then for him to become physically more dominant because he's in his second year, he's in the program a full year. Confidence comes with, okay, I belong. I'm here. I'm a sophomore. It's like being a freshman in school.
Yeah.
You just stay the hell out of everybody's way, right?
If you're smart.
Don't try to draw attention to yourself. Don't do anything. Just find a way to mix into the lockers and don't let anybody kind of don't draw their ire so they can pick on you all the time. Now you're a sophomore. Now you're established. The seniors have moved on. Now it's a chance to just, kind of take a deep breath and let's establish myself. Let's get things going.
When you see or hear the comments, I should say, of Montez Sweat, where he talks about, he's played with a dominant interior, he's played with a dominant edge, and he sees the benefits of both. How much of a benefit for Montez Sweat could it be if Gervon Dexter does take that next step, or Zach Pickens, either one?
Anytime you've got dangerous pass rushers, then they're not sliding their protection and they're not paying attention to only Montez Sweat. They've got to pay attention to everyone. So the chances to be singled are that much more. And the chances to win when you're singled, your chances of getting a sack or getting pressure on the quarterback jump through the roof. They're exponentially higher. So that's why it's important. It's important to have guys that can rush the passer, get to the quarterback. That way you don't draw the singular attention of the offense. So it would help Sweat. It helped his numbers, his overall numbers. So
yeah, he's played with some big boys over there. And I think I love the point that you said where it's like maybe the guy opposite on the edge, because that's been the biggest question coming into this draft, can then be a guy who's just on the roster, can be a DeMarcus Walker.
I rushed 6 games with Reggie White on the outside of me. 6 games with Reggie on the outside or next to me, depending if we put him on the interior. I got 5.5 sacks.
Made life a little easier for you.
I played 9 more years, and I play with Reggie still. I had 4 sacks the rest of the 9 years. So when Reggie's drawing the ire of others, that opens up. But then you've got to be able to capitalize. My dilemma was I wasn't able to capitalize, but they only asked me to rush the passer 1 year.
Yeah.
And that came out of necessity. And then I did. And then after that, it was back to being 1st and 10.
So wait a minute.
Second and 6.
You saying they stifled the good kid a little bit here. They told you rush the passer, and you were a little dominant out there.
They saw I could do it, and then they took it away.
What's going on with that?
Stifled me, and that was fine. I mean, I took enough of the beating, playing, what was that, 32% of the downs? I took enough of the beating. I didn't need to be out there 60%.
I mean, those sack numbers going the right direction, though. I like to see that.
Yeah, they're right direction.
5 sacks?
1993, right direction.
And they just took it away from you.
How much? There was a dearth of sacks.
From somebody who did spend his life on the interior and spent his life with a dominant pass rusher on the outside.
That's what Bryce Pop, too. Bryce can get after it. Tony Bennett could get after it. We had a couple. Sean Jones at some point came in there. McMichael was a teammate of mine up there. Gilbert wasn't a great pass rusher, but Gilbert occupied space. And Gilbert was tough to move.
Yeah.
Gilbert moved when Gilbert wanted to move. Nobody moved Gilbert. Gilbert moved when he wanted to move.
How much did it improve your game having that dominant guy, the dominant guys around you? How did you see, like, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm getting here a lot easier?
Well, did that 1 year, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was making it happen. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Quarterbacks were just there waiting for you.
What are you doing here? Huh? I mean, I got 2.5 of my 9 sacks in one game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, if you break it into 16ths, I played in like 115 games and I had 2.5 sacks in one game.
Yeah.
So. But TFLs I was proud of. We didn't keep track of TFLs, but they did. I didn't know this. One of the young men from Green Bay, probably at about 09, 10, 11, the big fella in the middle.
Yeah.
He broke the Green Bay Packer single season TFL record. That was formerly held by John Yurkovich. And I'm like, what? When I went to contract negotiations, nobody talked about TFLs. I go, what? I held a what? I held a record? What? Yeah, so I guess I held one. It probably was that 93 year where I was really kind of active. I was swimming over the top.
Was that single season or career?
Single season. It was a single season, 1993. So it took 16 years.
That's a good record.
For somebody to break that record. Reggie didn't have that record.
Yeah.
Gilbert didn't have that record. You know who had that record?
Oh, the good kid. I like that.
Joe Ray Me, right here. This guy.
That's why you ask for that Packers discount wherever you go.
Every time I go there. Hey, when I go up to the Packer Pro Shop, I'll go to a game like every third year. I'll go up to a game. And I'll go in there and I'll get some golf shirts. I'll get something nice for myself.
Yeah.
And they kind of know. And the lady that used to run the place, she always says, anytime you come, you always have the Packer discount. It's 30%, 35%, something like that. So, I mean, if you're buying $500 worth of items,
it adds up.
You're getting $165 off. That's substantial.
That's a good
whether
deal.
Anybody likes that or not, it's still substantial. I mean, I make money, but I don't want to give my money away. So
do they add money
once a
here?
Packer, always a Packer.
Do they add money if you ask for that here? Are they like,
no, yeah.
Can I get the Packer discount? Yeah, $200 more.
Well, you live in Cook County. You know what it's like.
Well, that's a whole different ad money. That's for the masses.
Doesn't the whole world pay 12% in state and county taxes on stuff?
Oh, man. That is absolutely for the masses. We talked about Javon Dexter, talked about Tyler Scott. When you look at Zach Pickens, Saw him kind of pop early on.
He was the better of the two for a long time last year, but I think
flattened out a little bit.
I think Dexter came and kind of got him. And you expect a little flattening only because guys are used to playing 11, 12 games, playing 17 games, of course, 4 months. There's no downtime in November, going into the Christmas holiday, going into the bowl season. So, you kind of expect guys to say, geez, how long is this thing? And the challenge during the season is to maintain your strength. In the offseason, it's easy. You build strength, you get there. Now, during the season, you've got to maintain your strength without getting too weak, without getting too sloppy. And guys have a tendency to kind of, oh, God, the game's so beat up. Okay, guys, but we got to bust our ass. You got to bust your ass to be able to survive into January, which is month 5, into hopefully February, which is like 5.5. That's a long year. That's a half a year. 21 days of inactivity makes the muscles go where? Hasta la bye-bye. That's what it does. So if a guy ends up getting injured, that's why they try to work their asses off, because they know if they don't work their asses off, it's going to be more difficult for them to come back.
How do you maintain that strength during the season? I think for most fans, you would think, hey, listen, I'm trying to push a 300-pound guy out of my way.
No,
I'm going to stay strong doing that.
Nope, that just beats you down a little bit.
Okay.
So you got to come back in, and it's the combination of going in and getting your medical stuff done when you have to do it. Part of that is the rehab. Part of that is the modalities, the ice, the electric stim, everything that they offer up over there. And the other part of that is the weight room. Now, you're not going to work as hard as you would during the off season, but you've got to work.
Yeah.
And you've got to put it in to be able to maintain that muscle mass that you want to be able throughout the season. So you're not as strong as you were at the beginning of the year, but you're kind of hardened over the course of the year. But you got to maintain that weight work to be able to make it through the whole year.
It's a grind, man. It's a grind. I can't say that I'd have survived. You know what I mean? I didn't like the high school weight room. That was my problem.
Here's what I would hope. I would hope that over the course of time, I think they've learned that these guys can only concentrate so much time watching film and in meetings, being lectured to, and this thing and that.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah.
I think as much as time as they want to put into that, you put into flexibility for about a half hour, and then the weight training for an hour. So you got to give me 90 minutes 3 times a week into flexibility and into weight training. These guys, most of them are flexible because, of their age,
right,
and because of what they do. But you've got to be able to work on that. That's as important as watching film and understanding your playbook.
Yeah.
Like for me, it didn't take long for me to master the playbook week in and week out. For me, it was easy. It was simple. Crunch the numbers, try to memorize the numbers depending upon each team. When you play teams over and over and over again with the same coaching staff, with the same players, it becomes easy. That used to happen for us for 8 games.
Right.
So half the schedule I kind of already had a mastery of.
You knew, right.
Now it's getting the other 8 games under your belt and trying to understand what they're doing and what they do out of certain stuff, and then not confuse it with stuff that you already know from other teams.
Do you think that that's way harder now with the fact that we see coaches last so little time in the NFL now?
Coaches like Rich Kotite didn't last a long time. Guys, guys who aren't good and the guys that don't win, they don't last.
Yeah.
And with the stuff that they have now with the tablets and this, I mean, they literally can take every P11 that was run and show you every P11 out of what formation it came out of and what formation it finally finished with motion, every counter OT, every counter OF, every counter OY that was run. They can give it to you and tell you how they finally got to that final formation.
Right.
So you can then maybe identify it over the course of a game of what's happening, what's not happening. Any 38-39 stretch play, any and all, everything that they ran out of a weak eye formation or a brown eye formation, everything. They can give it to you, everything. You could just sit there and you punch a couple, it filters out and it just, it overloads you.
You said you had to do it with the snapshots.
Right. We had to do it individual plays. Yeah. Throughout a game. Then you had to try to remember, over the course of time. So maybe it was easier for me doing it because I was learning as I was going, as opposed to it just being handed to you. And here it is, and here are all the pictures, and this is where they're at. So
halftime for y'all was actually watching film.
It's 14 minutes for halftime. Actually, I think it was 12 minutes for a regular season halftime.
14 for the
2 minutes to get out, 2 minutes to get in. You got 8 minutes in the middle. First minutes when you get inside the locker room is for personal business, whatever you have to do. You got to go to the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Coaches get together, they meet. Boom, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to adjust for the second half. Then you go to individual meetings, and then the John Peace was my defensive line coach in Jacksonville. We get together with that. Dick Duran was our coordinator. So for 2 minutes individual, then we bring it together as a defense. We talk about it. He gives us some things. This is what we need to look out for, blah, 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 blah. Keep it up. We need to force turnover. When we get a turnover, get us an extra possession. And then the team would come together. Coughlin would come out. Coughlin would bring us two together. You get a 2-minute warning from the official. He'd come into the locker room, 2-minute warning, and then you got 2 minutes to get back out to the field.
He's checking for a little chicanery on the jersey.
On the way back.
A little something on the jersey.
On the way out down the tunnel, right by the referee's room, is where the officials set up to check the uniform.
Oh, okay. Little Vaseline on the jersey.
Well, not Vaseline. It was always silicone. It was always a sprayed silicone. It was never Vaseline. You didn't want to have something that was actually, you could rub on it and you see it and you look, oh, look, that is Vaseline. The silicone was a spray. You can get on your fingers, but it looked like nothing. Could be sweat.
Right.
So you can say, and then they'd smell it and it was odorless, so it didn't make a difference. Jim Burt used to do it all the time. You used to see him on the sidelines doing it. And up until about 97, you can get away with it. But like in portion of 97, 98, they said, we're getting rid of the silicone. But as those guys,
so they didn't care about it back then.
They didn't care. The players complained. Jerry Fontenot complained about it one time. And 31 was the umpire, Chad. I don't know, it was Chad Smith, Chad Brown. Chad comes to me, wipes my jersey, goes back, and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I got nothing." Then he comes back, he walks by me, he goes, "Get that shit off your jersey." I go, when I get to the sideline, I'll do it. Start. That's it.
Oh, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? Good kid.
They know. Everybody's doing their own thing, trying to find a way to survive. That's all I want to do is find a way to survive.
Yeah. Hey, it worked.
10 years.
It worked 10 years. That's what it comes down to.
I convinced somebody I could play.
Let's get into our Toyota Road to the Draft, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. An interesting name has been popping up with the Chicago Bears. I don't know if you've seen a ton of his tape, but it seems like everybody is looking at this guy as the next George Kittle, the next, air quotes for the people listening, Travis Kelce.
The kid from Georgia.
Brock Bowers is popping up a lot of interest apparently that the Chicago Bears may want to trade back. And if he's there, he could be somebody they would take. So would you like that?
I wouldn't mind that. Is he more dynamic than Cole Kmet? Absolutely.
Yes. I think so. He's more of a receiver than Cole Kmet is 100%.
Well, yeah. I mean, Cole Kmet for the first 2 years always fought the football. Now he's become better at not fighting the football, but still, what's dynamic about Cole Kmet?
He's a safety.
He's Mark Bavaro-esque,
Yeah.
He's big, he's solid, he's, this and that. 10 yards of reception, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I want to say like maybe a little less than that. Actually.
If it is, it's like 9.8.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But on the average, it's 10 yards of reception
right.
for Cole Kmet. But there's nothing really after the run. He's caught a couple balls down the seam for touchdowns that are great. It's fantastic.
He's improved his hands mightily.
Well, that's the improvement that need to be made. Remember, he was only a second-round pick.
Right.
He's the first tight end taken in a year that didn't have a ton of tight ends coming out in the draft. Were we right?
This is what I'm looking up now. Yards per reception. You're right. No, what a call on that. You're 9.8.
Yeah,
9.8.
It's right about 10 yards. I give him that. Yeah, but he's not dynamic. He's not going to get in the middle. He's not going to gain yardage afterwards. He's not like an absolute red zone bonanza for you. He's not cash money once he gets into the red zone. And maybe it's because the guy that was throwing the football couldn't always find him. Maybe that's the reason.
That's what I was going to say. Is it targets in the red zone?
I'll give him a benefit of the doubt. The fact that the guy that was getting him the football couldn't really get him the football. Okay, fine. I can give him that argument.
Right.
Does he become more dynamic? Is there any evidence that you've seen over the course of the last 3 years that would tell you that he's going to be more dynamic? I don't know. But getting a guy that's going to get you 9.8 yards of reception when he catches the football is fine. He doesn't usually fumble it. I think in the course of 4 years. Is he 4 years here?
4 years here, yep.
Yeah, and of course, maybe he's fumbled the ball twice.
Let's see.
Was it stripped away? I know one time he was bobbling the ball, boom, boom, boom. It's like he had his
fumbles, full career.
Yeah, see? It's like he had his arm screwed on backwards early, And then finally he turned him around, and now he's holding on to the football a little bit better. So, but Would I mind it? Do I think I think they got needs in other areas?
Yeah.
So if they traded down, do I think they need to get a tight end in Bowers? No. But can a dynamic weapon like that help your team? Say if you don't get Romeo Dunze?
Right.
Can Bowers help your team become a dynamic team? I talked about it coming out of a 2 tight end set with 2 receivers and 1 back.
Yeah.
I go, can you become more dynamic because you force the other team to be in regular? And then you've got 3 receivers in essence with Bowers and a tight end. You're really in a 3-wide formation with Bowers as one of your tight ends.
Right.
So,
and I think that's the interest, and that's where a lot of this has come from, where there's a belief and a possibility that the wide receiver run may come early on instead of the quarterback run, where if a Malik Neighbors is taken before MHJ, then people start to, wait, MHJ's there? All right, we're moving, we're taking him. And then somebody's going to go, wait, we thought receivers would be here a little later. We're going to take Roma Dunze. Now the Bears don't get the receiver, don't have that guy that you thought was going to be there at 9, and so they move back and take Bowers.
it's a possibility. I wouldn't be against it. And give me a second rounder where I can get a center.
Yeah.
A real center, not Bates.
You know, I was going to say, I was like, that center market, I don't know. It drops off quick. I got JPJ and then.
No, they got some guys there. There's always guys there. There was a guy. Corey Linsley, for the Packers, wasn't drafted. He's still in the league, still playing in the league, making big money. There's guys that can play.
Yeah.
You just got to identify the guys that can play. So that's my argument to anybody who says that you can't get one besides one. Oh, I don't believe that.
Oh, no.
I believe there's of the 10, 12 centers that are going to enter the league this year.
Yeah.
I think not only will it be the big kid from Oregon, I think there's going to be others that get in the league and play for an extended period of time and actually become very good centers.
Yeah, I think George is in there.
Right. I don't believe, this is what I don't believe. I don't believe there's a Hall of Fame center in the group. But I think there's guys who can play 10 years and be very productive players. The Hall of Fame guys usually are the guys that you find in the first round.
Yeah.
That, Mawe, Pouncey, Dermontti Dawson. And I think he's a first rounder, but he might have been a second rounder out of Kentucky. But those are the guys you look at and say, hey, this guy can play effing center. Yeah. This guy's a madman. I think this guy's going to be great.
Well, that's been the conversation around Jackson Powers. That's why I've been very, very high on him, that this guy is going to walk in and he's going to be able to dominate at center rookie year. And he's somebody that is a 10-year center. But, I mean, listen, the Bears, I love that Ryan Poles has set him up with so many options, because literally we're like, if they take a tight end, just get a second-round pick. If you go get Jordan Morgan out of Arizona in the second round as your left tackle, I'm a happy camper. You addressed the offensive line. We got a quarterback. You got your quarterback another weapon. I feel like you're moving in the right direction there. So we'll see what the Bears end up doing with that. Let's finish it out with this, Yurko. I want to get a ranking from you. EO came up with this idea, and I think that it is a very interesting idea when you think about our city. How would you rank the ownership groups in this city? We got the Bulls, who are fighting for their playoff lives tonight. We've got the Bears, who seem like they're moving in the right direction. We've got the Cubs, your Cubs seem like they got a little something going on here this season. Yeah, I mean, a little fire. And the Blackhawks got Connor Bedard. That's kind of where we're at with that. How would you rank the ownership groups?
Well, I mean, historically, my problem is, and I've been here for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
The Wirtz family, with not Rocky Wirtz, but his father, old man Dollar Bill.
Old man Wirtz, yep. Wouldn't put the games on TV.
Was one of the worst owners in the history, and that stench still is really not off the Blackhawks. Even though they've won 3.
Yeah.
And then Rocky kind of putting his foot in his mouth toward the end when they had their problems over there didn't necessarily help. So if I had to go ownership, I would say Ricketts number 1, House or whoever's up there now, McClaskey's number 2. I'll go Hockey number 3.
Go Wirtz 3, and Jerry's the worst.
And if that's because of the 5, right? Jerry's the worst.
Well, yeah, he owns 2 of them.
Right.
Jerry's the worst.
Jerry's the worst.
Oof.
by far.
Are we
I'll
at?
tell you who he's not the worst for. His investors are very happy.
Yeah, that is for
Jerry
sure.
Reinsdorf has done very well for his investors group and those guys. And quite frankly, I don't think he really cares what we all think.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest. And if you were in Jerry Reinsdorf's position, why would you care about what anybody thinks? No. You care about what the people that have invested their money in you and believed in you and trusted in you. That's who he would like to keep happy.
Right.
And how do you keep your investors happy? You keep your investors happy by making you money. So as long as you and I have a crystal clear understanding that Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't give a rat's ass what we think,
yes,
it's fine. But just as my rankings go, and over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, you've kind of found out what Jerry Reinsdorf actually thinks. About fans and about people.
4 or 5 years. I'd say we can go back to the 90s on that. It's just they were winning at that time.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what he thinks.
Yeah.
That's what he's always thought.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't necessarily care, if things are going great and everything's good, but he doesn't really care.
Well, you can see that with the White Sox.
Jerry cares about the bottom line.
Yeah.
And he's always cared about the bottom line because he's a businessman.
Right.
That's what he is. He's a businessman. He's got to worry about the money coming in, the money going out, and the money coming in's got to be greater than the money going out.
It always cracks me up when I hear people say sell the team, because it's like, why would I sell my $1 billion organizations that I paid? Let's understand this, that he paid millions for.
This is what we
got. He paid millions
1983
for multiple $1 billion organizations.
First of all, the Reinsdorf family is never going to leave because the Chicago Bulls will never go anywhere.
No.
So the Chicago Bulls will always be a part of Chicago. But the White Sox.
Oh, Yerk.
I'm telling you, if they move to Nashville,
Yerk,
I will get a CDL and I will have my truck out there.
To help them move?
To help them move.
Yeah.
I will be there. We'll load that bad boy up. And we are 65 south, heading through Indiana and Kentucky, and we will get everything they need in Nashville. Hopefully the mayor down there is smitten.
Yeah.
Is awestruck, is whatever, and thinks he needs a baseball team for them to be a city. Nashville's already a city. They don't need a baseball team.
Yeah.
But hopefully they think they do.
Yeah. They want more than I think they have a UFL team, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They're yours.
They
are yours. Go. Change the name. Do whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a diehard Sox fan. I grew up a Sox fan. My dad's South Side. If they left, I wouldn't follow to cheer for them. If they left the city, I would root for the Brewers.
Now, a lot of Cleveland Brown fans rooting for the Baltimore Ravens, right?
Yeah, this is true.
They're gone for a couple of years. They didn't say, geez, I'm going to root for Baltimore now that my Cleveland team is gone. No. What'd they do? Right here.
No.
We're staying. Our team now is the Cleveland Browns. We're coming back in 99. That's our team.
I don't know if I could switch to the Cubs. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if I have it in me, good kid.
Well, I mean,
I'd probably become a Brewers fan.
Jonathan Hood's a San Diego Padre fan.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw whipping the Padres jersey out on us. Well, there's enough former White Sox players over there for you to be a Padres fan. It makes a little bit of sense.
All right, I got to go.
All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. For John Yurkovich, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Peace.